Yes! Oh, man. Oh, God, I'm excited. Next week, we are going to have the NFL schedule release. I believe that's on a Wednesday. I believe it's 15th. Keaton Talk Sports wants to come on next Friday. I haven't been able to confirm that, but he brought up that when the NFL schedule release comes out, he wants to come on talk about it. Last year, I thought the NFL did an A+ job with the schedule. I really did. Funk. It's next week. It's next week, and I think they did a great job last year, and I am looking forward to this year. I think they're going to do an excellent job. I might do a video on the Chiefs schedule. I may not do a video. We'll have to see what my schedule is like next week. I'd like to do a video just on the Chiefs schedule, and when Keaton Talks Sports, hopefully he can join me on Friday, and we can go over the schedule. My original plan was to go over to AFC today and then the NFC next week. I'm going to get the schedule out, and then I'll give you kind of brief overview of the AFC and NFC on those weeks. I'll do next week will be the schedule. Then I'll do the AFC, and then I'm going to do the NFC. After the 4th of July, I don't have an exact date yet. I'm going to do 8 divisional videos that I'm going to release out on a weekly schedule. And I don't have an exact date out, and I don't have the divisions, how I'm going to do them. Funk says, I just wonder what AFC team the Lions will play on Thanksgiving. You know, I would really – I remember several Thanksgivings they played Chicago, and I really, really, really am hoping it's a divisional game. I really want to see either Green Bay. I think Green Bay's been a few times. I think out of all the NFC North – correct me if I'm wrong, the team that has played most on Thanksgiving against the Lions in just the NFC North has been the Bears, because I do remember the Bears several times. I would like to see a divisional game. I could see Buffalo. I could see Buffalo. I remember, was it 2 years ago you played Buffalo? You probably should have won that game. Was it 2 or 3 years ago? I just remember, thinking you should have won that game. And as as a Chiefs fan, obviously, I would love to see that. Perry, how are you doing, brother? How are you doing? I'm really jacked up because when the schedule comes out, and then free agency, the next period of free agency would be June 1st. I think we're finally into kind of football season. I know the NBA playoffs are going on, the NHL playoffs are going on. I don't follow either sport. I really don't care. Baseball's playing. I can care less. It's funny because a lot of people feel like I'm a sports junkie. I'm not. I'm a football junkie, only a football junkie. As a matter of fact, right before the show, if you've never seen it, one of my all-time favorite 30 for 30 specials, the 1993 Houston Oilers was on. I was watching that, and it's one of my favorites. If you, the Texans would be a fun one. I'm trying to remember who you played this year on Thanksgiving, and I'm drawing a blank. But if you play an AFC team, the Texans, that would be a good one. That would be a lot of fun. I actually hope it's not Kansas City. Green Bay. That's right. You play. I remember you played Green Bay. Okay. Since you're rotating the Texans, God, I hope it's not Kansas City. So it's already been announced Kansas City is going to play San Francisco, Buffalo, I want to say Cincinnati. No. I'm sorry. They're going to play Baltimore, San Francisco, and Buffalo. So I you know what? I should probably just, I have the opponents. I just don't know when they're coming out. I don't think we play Detroit. I would be really upset. The NFC North would be a tough division. I got a feeling a lot of divisions would be close this year. Yeah, I'm looking at it, and that's kind of why I kind of wanted to wait till the schedule comes out before I kind of dive into the AFC and the NFC, because some teams' scheduling is going to. Last year, I thought Kansas City really lucked out schedule wise, and then they went 10-7. I mean, the end result was good, but I remember looking at the schedule, and Chiefs fans were like, no, because like the last, and they're trying to find reasons that the NFL's against Kansas City. I was like, no, look at the 3 toughest opponents on the schedule, which if you're going from, the year before, Philly in the Super Bowl was at Arrowhead, Cincinnati. You had to get past Cincinnati, and the AFC Championship game was at Arrowhead, Buffalo. The Chiefs I think the Chiefs Bills have a legitimate rivalry. And I think it's a good one too. I really do. Now, the reason why it's a good rivalry is the Bills have been beating Kansas City regularly in the regular season, but losing in the playoffs. But the Bills have beaten the Chiefs. And I think it's a great rivalry, and I got a feeling it's going to be a primetime game. But the NFC North, man, I mean, I can make a strong case that I think the Packers, I really like Aaron Jones, and losing him to the Vikings, I think kind of sucks, but you get Josh Jacobs, who I'm a huge fan of, less wear and tear on the tires. They're going to be more of a running. He's going to be more physical. You still have A.J. Dillon. Yeah, I think I got another running back. I'm trying to remember. That's actually not that bad. Green Bay's a team that I don't know how to gauge, but when I look at teams, I kind of look at how they ended the season. Green Bay ended the season really, really well. So did Detroit. I think Chicago, they announced that Caleb Williams is going to be the starting quarterback. I think that's terrible. Because then I look at Arizona, and they said, well, Marvin Harrison will have to earn a spot on the field. And to be honest with you, those two should have been flipped. They should have been flipped, but I understand why the Bears did that. And it's going to be a mistake. I'm going to call it out now, and I'm going to keep saying it. I don't think Caleb Williams will work in Chicago. I just don't. And making him the starter, I'm good today. Today was rookie mini camp. Yeah, you're doing rookie mini camps, and he's already a starter. Yeah, I don't think it's going to work. And if I'm listen, if Caleb Williams is successful, I'll be singing his praises. I will own up to it, but I really don't think it's going to work. I really don't think it's going to work. Quarterbacks, a lot of quarterbacks have not been successful in Chicago over the years. It's a tough place to play. It's a tough sports town. Defensively, I like the team, but they got some holes on defense after playing really well last year. They lost some starters in free agency, specifically Eddie Jackson. A lot of good receivers, but you got a lot. You have to understand something about rookie quarterbacks. And the difference between like the NBA and the NHL and I think it's more minor league than college baseball, but the NFL is a different game. About 75% of the stuff that he did at USC is not going to work in the NFL. It's just not. I mean, the defensive schemes are different. He's not going to be able to run over or past NFL linebackers. So the rookie minicamp. By the way, Chiefs rookie minicamp is Chiefs fans are losing their mind because Xavier Worthy is catching passes, and it's like, well, he's 165 pounds. He should look good in fucking shorts. And I'm getting mad. I'm getting mad at my own fan base. We're like, oh my God, Xavier Worthy looks good in shorts. He's supposed to look good in shorts. He's 165 pounds. We're on a 4.21. He should look good in shorts. The only bad thing that could happen with Xavier Worthy is if he doesn't. I mean, it's only a story if he doesn't look good. But Chiefs fans are like, oh my God, he's catching passes from Mahomes. Well, what do you think he's supposed to do? or whoever's throwing him the ball, but they're showing him, oh my God, Xavier Worthy in this offense. And it's like, come on, Chiefs Kingdom, get smarter. It's one thing I love about you Lions fans. You guys kind of really know what's going on here. I don't know why I'm drinking the energy drink. I really don't need it. I'm pretty jacked up today. Perry, I agree with you on most of that. And Perry says the 49ers will have it tough this year. I really think the Cards, Rams, and Seahawks are better. I think the 49ers took a step back. I think the Rams got better. Maybe because you're missing Aaron Donald. All right. But I really like what they did in the draft by solidifying front seven with the Florida State duo. Florida State last year had one of the best defenses in all of college football, 2 really good players, and I really like to get teammates. They did a really good job in last year's draft, even though they didn't have a first-round pick. Cardinals, I love their draft, and if those picks pan out, that's going to be a dangerous team. I don't know about the Seahawks. I don't know about the Seahawks. That's the one reason I say I almost agree with you. I don't know about the Seahawks. They could, but I wouldn't guarantee that. Yeah, I agree completely with you, Funk. That was kind of the reason why I thought at 9 you should trade down and solidify the interior of that offensive line. God, I'm trying to remember here. I'll have to look it up real fast, but I know for a fact that they didn't draft any interior offensive linemen. They only had 5 picks. Okay, I'm sorry, they did. They got the kid out of Yale. And you could move him on the inside, but here's a kid from Nigeria that played in an Ivy League school, and you need to help him up front. Yeah, I agree completely. You got the tackles are good. I think it was Anthony Wright that they went from 9 to 10 last year, the right tackle out of Tennessee. And I was watching some videos. Some people think that he was really great last year. I don't think so. I thought he was pretty good. I personally think that if in a run-based offense, he would be a lot better. They were kind of – I thought they were asking Justin Fields to do a little too much. And then I thought that they, like towards the end of the season, they kind of simplified the offense, which made things better. But yeah, I agree completely because here's another thing is that he played primarily he played, of course, at Oklahoma in the Big 12, and he played in the Pac-12, which is now extinct. He didn't play against these upper echelon defenses. All right. And in the SEC, you're playing against a bunch of guys that are playing in the NFL. I don't think Washington State has 3 or 4 players on their front 7 that are going to be in the NFL. Oregon has some guys, that are going to play on Sunday. So does Washington, of course. UCLA has a few guys, but I mean, when you go against SEC schools like, Georgia and Alabama, they got several guys. I agree completely, man. I think he's going to be under a lot of pressure. If you watch, the one thing that he did, and he did this consistently, is you would take the ball and hold it down and try to scramble around. He's not going to be able to do that. You can't do that in the NFL. I don't care. He didn't run a combine. I heard he has 4.4 speed. Great. You still can't do that in the NFL. I agree completely with you. I think, and listen, Aiden Hutchinson and the Lions have improved their front 7, but you got Aiden Hutchinson. Packers front 7's actually pretty solid. I think Lucas Van Ness could have a really big year this season. He was a real raw guy that they took out of Iowa last year. And Minnesota, Dallas Turner, I mean, he ran 4.46 at the combine, something like that. You want to tell me Dallas Turner can't run you down? I mean, he's going in a really tough division. NFC North is I think he's going to struggle. Packers will be a solid. Yeah, I think so. The Vikings are a mess. The Bears should be tougher. Williams needs to learn to be humble. Teams will be gunning for him. Williams is weak-minded. And turn his team against him when he gets into being a crying baby. Perry's on fire. Perry does not hold back today. I agree with everything. I'm going to tell you something. Keenan Allen, I could honestly see, I would bet on it that at least once this year, you're going to see Keenan Allen yelling at him. I guarantee he's a fiery dude. He's a leader. He's played with Phillip Rivers. Now, Justin Herbert's the different type of guy, but Justin Herbert, it was kind of funny because Keenan Allen went public, goes, hey, I don't remember Phillip Rivers staying after practice to throw balls, but Herbert does. What happens if Williams gets a little full of himself and like, oh, I'm not going to stay after practice. I got this commercial to do. You think Keenan Allen's going to keep his mouth shut? Who's 32, going to a new team? No, I don't think so. They caught DJ Moore in a soundbite with Devin White. And Devin White telling him, man, you're not being used right. He goes, man, tell me about it, man. They got to fix some stuff here. And he didn't say stuff either. They started unleashing him, later into the season. But, yeah. Funk says, I hate most of my fan base. Too many slappies that don't understand football and think everything the GM or head coach says is the truth. Well, a lot of it is they have said some nice things about people. Man, God, you guys are on fire, man. You guys are on fire today. What a great show. Slasher, what's up, brother? Man, he goes, what's up, Dan? I think the Jets defense being slept behind Rodgers coming back. I'm honestly more excited to see him play than Rodgers, even though he will be exciting. They got talent at every level. I couldn't agree with you more, Slasher. God, man, what great comments. You guys are on fire today. So you're right. This defense is not only loaded, they're loaded and young. Hassan Reddick is a senior citizen. He's 29. He added Hassan Reddick. And what I know he had 2 years ago, he had 17 and a half. I don't know what he had last year. Will McDonald was the 15th pick in the draft, and he barely played. They got rid of, John? I always get the name wrong. Jonathan Davis Edwards, a guy I really, really like. I think he's in Arizona now. I could be wrong about that. Anyway, Denver. No, he's in Denver. Okay, sorry. You just got speed and athleticism, toughness at all three levels. Slasher, I'm going to tell you something, and I'm going to keep saying this because I think it kind of sucks, and I don't want it to be true, but right now the Jets are my pick to be the AFC Super Bowl candidate, not my Chiefs, because that defense is so loaded. All the offense has to do is be average. And fans think it means that the guy is great. They absolutely love him. They forget that his regime also talked about Jared Davis Flowers. You're right, man. You're right. You are so right. God, Funk's on fire today, man. I've had our fan base see success or our coach or GM and latch onto it, falls apart just like Quinn. Yeah. You guys will see that, man. You guys are going to see that now that you guys have not technically got to the mountaintop, and now that you guys are a Super Bowl caliber team, and you are. No bullshit. The Lions are a Super Bowl caliber team. 1.5 quarters away from winning last year. Your team got better. Now, I wouldn't say grossly better, but your team got better this offseason. I didn't expect that. I like what you did in the draft. I wish you made some trades I really didn't like, but Rakeshaw's a guy you could have took at 29. That would have been cool. You get Terrion Arnold. A lot of people thought he was number one corner. Rakeshaw can play right away. And they didn't put this, like if you go to NFL.com, you look at his draft profile, they didn't really call him an inside-outside guy. I think he can play inside-outside. So, oh my God. The B in the Back Talk Brothers. The great one. The talent. Gooch. Man, I got Gooch in the house. Yes. You thought you were going to have a show without the great one? It's It's always better when the talent is here. Always better when the talent is here. Keys is currently watching my OnlyFans for only $99.99 a month. Keys has the platinum membership, and that's what he's doing right now. But he did tell me that he thinks that during the summer he may be able to come on for some shows. So I'm really kind of excited to hear about that. Hopefully you and Keys aren't on that Xavier Worthy bandwagon because he caught some passes wearing shorts. I'm really getting irritated with my fan base. I mean, dude, but you know what? I got done telling people I outweigh Xavier Worthy. I found out today I weigh 155. I don't remember the last time I was this light. And you guys, you know, of course, I'm extremely good looking at any weight, but I had no idea it was 155. I haven't been 155 in God knows how long. Man, God, you guys are on fire today, man. Slasher, I just wanted to thank you guys for taking Cooper. It's 2 years in a row. The team with CJGJ moved up to take guy fit the same role as CJGJ. Just for the Packers. By the way, I think there's a good chance that the Packers would have taken him. Yeah, great move by Philly. And by the way, I if you're wondering why I gave Philly a higher grade for taking two corners than I did with the Lions taking two corners is because of the rest of the draft I liked better. Philly's going to be a fun team because that late season collapse really, really bothers me, and I don't know what to think about it. I really don't know what to think about it. And I also wonder how are rookie corners going to handle the Fangio system. Quinton Mitchell was my corner number one, but asking him to play man, God, I don't know. It's Toledo's a smaller school than Cincinnati. Cincinnati's not a Power 5 school. Sauce Gardner came in day one. Boom. I don't know if you can ask Quinton Mitchell to do that. To be honest with you, Dejon Cooper may be better in the short run. And I think Dejon Cooper, they're going to kind of move around a little bit. I think they're going to have some fun with him. Where Quinton Mitchell, I think they're just going to line him up on the outside and say, hey, take whoever's there. Take whoever's there. It's going to be interesting. Philly's going to be an interesting story this year. I don't know why I'm drinking an energy drink. I'm so jacked up today. Oh God, I really right now I got the Jets as my AFC favorite. I mean, that defense is loaded. Breece Hall is a monster. Braylon Smith at the bottom of the fourth. You're up late in the game. You got the defense from hell. You can't put 7 in the box because you got Aaron Rodgers, and now you got a 245-pound bowling ball. Didn't run at the combine, but you know, people are saying he runs like 4.45. Bottom line, it doesn't really matter because that 4-minute offense exists. They shored up the offensive line. They didn't go for that shiny Brock Bowers, which they easily could have. Instead, they chose Ola Fasanu. I'm abbreviating the name. Maybe I should just call him OF, but I don't want you guys getting confused with my OnlyFans channel. But yeah. Speaking of OnlyFans, Keaton Talk Sports is a platinum member. Keaton, what's up, brother? He's excited. I'm excited. Keaton, please come on next week when the schedule comes out. Open invitation. God, I hope you can make it because I think the NFL nailed it last year. Remember Texans versus Colts winner hosts a playoff game. Loser goes home. What else could you want? Now, God, what a great show. God, you guys are fire. First two picks are good. The other picks are, Perry, I agree with you. I gave him a B-. Tyrion Arnold, I thought was great. You overpaid for him. I didn't mind that, but I kind of thought that, okay, so when you overpay for a player and you trade a draft pick, I thought the later draft picks were guys that would be more day one ready. And instead you traded up for the Canadian guy. So you gave up a third and a fourth. Now you have a fourth, which Funk reminded me thanks to the DeAndre Swift trade. But you're giving up draft capital for guys that aren't going to help you really this year. The safety running back, ESPN reports him as a safety. Funk saying he's a running back. I like him more as a running back. I really, really do. I like him more as a running. And the reason why is Montgomery's more of the workhorse, Gibbs the electricity, and then I can't think of his name. It's like some Sioki Vakia, something like that. He's safety out of Utah, safety / running back. I love safety, which ESPN lists him as. It's not a good pick, but yeah. And he's like in the middle of both, and that's why he's a great fit, because he can kind of fill in for either or, and he will help on special teams. So that's funny, Fun, because I was laughing at the Packers subreddit when the Eagle took the G. I think Rickshaw, however he spelled, takes over. Yeah, and I think he can play inside, and I think he can play in the slot. Arnold, remember he started. Here's the thing about Arnold, and I'm not trying to take anything away. He started off as a safety. Alabama saw the talent, moved him to corner, smartly moved him to corner. I think he's still a little raw. So he may not be as ready day one as Rakeshaw is. Now, Rakeshaw, I think it's Rakestraw. I hope I'm getting that name right. And I have no idea how to spell it either, Funk. Maybe better for like first half of the season. And I also think he can play inside or outside. And I do agree. I think he takes over at the nickel. Branch, I'm actually kind of excited because I really want to know what the Lions are going to do defensively, because they got Arnold, who potentially could be a safety. By the way, I've seen this. I remember different time, but the Chiefs drafted a safety out of Memphis. I'm pretty sure he was a safety. His name was Jerome Woods out of Memphis, and they used him as the kickoff return guy. Marty, this is in the 90s, so it's different era, different time. Marty had him as the kickoff return guy, played him at corner, and he just wasn't working out. So they moved him to safety. He had a decent career. Like 12-year starter, went to like a Pro Bowl. Here's the deal. His Pro Bowl year is kind of a bullshit Pro Bowl. He broke his leg in preseason the year before, out the whole year, came back, and they gave him a Pro Bowl after the return. And yeah, I didn't see it. Obviously I didn't see it, but I love Tom Grassi, by the way. He gave me a shout out last year, and it meant the world to me. Fangio never plays man. It's always zone. This is what Jalen Ramsey was freaking out about him, because over saying he wouldn't let him play his strength scout. Ramsey is one of the best in man. I've always believed. So when Fangio was in Denver, he played a lot of man. The best of my knowledge, when he was in Miami, he played a lot of man. So I find that a little surprising, because and I'm trying to remember when Ramsey and Fangio played together. Because Fangio was in Denver, Ramsey was in Jacksonville. I'm not going to argue with you, but when I think of Fangio, I think of the architect of I wouldn't say the architect, but he was the linebackers coach for the Dome Patrol, the greatest 3-4 linebacker unit of all time. I'll argue that with anybody. Fangio was the linebacker coach and does a fantastic job on defense. So. Oh, yeah. The Browns have the hardest schedule in all football. Yeah, I could see that, because you got the Ravens. You have Pittsburgh. And then I think the best team in that division's Cincinnati, if Burrow stays healthy. And it's like every other year he stays healthy. And I love what they did in the draft. So. Slasher, is also fun to see both our squads move up in the first for top tier corners, although the Packers fans getting better. If I was a Lions fan, I would hate Packers fans. I could see that. I think Dallas won that trade getting 2 starter for. It was because they really needed both of those players. I really believe that. They really needed both those players, and I think Dallas did a pretty good job in the draft. The only thing I don't like about Dallas is that, Ezekiel Elliott's not really the same type of dude he was 5 years ago, and you need him to be that guy. They got rid of the wrong running back when they got rid of Ezekiel Elliott and kept Pollard. They should have got rid of Pollard, kept Elliott, and drafted somebody. And that's something that they really kind of messed up on, in my opinion. And Trey Benson, who the Cardinals took at the top of the third, you could have taken him in the second. And well, instead they drafted Breland, the outside linebacker, defensive end. He'll be a defensive end in this scheme, out of Western Michigan. But that's a guy that Mike Zimmer is going to fall in love with. Mike Zimmer's really going to fall in love with. But I think June 1st, and there's some free agent running backs that Dallas could go after. You got Kareem Hunt, Dalvin Cook. I was just thinking about, there's another one I drew a blank on, but both Dalvin Cook and Kareem Hunt are excellent options. You may bring them both in. I actually could see a move where Dallas maybe trades for a running back or picks one up mid-season. We'll have to see what happens. Drawing a blank on the guy's name, running back out of Texas. He signed with Cleveland. Oh, Dante Foreman. Okay. He's third string in Cleveland. He would start in Dallas. I think Dante Foreman would actually beat out Ezekiel Elliott, but whatever reason. Dan, did you hear that the Raiders did a very Raiders thing? They did a coin flip to see who they take, or supposedly torn between Brockers and Arnold. They did it. No, I didn't hear this at all. And I'll be honest with you. If that's the case, they lost the coin flip because they should have taken Arnold, because they need help at corner. They drafted Michael Mayer out of Notre Dame the year before. I think he was like 34th or 36th. He was my number one tight end because I thought you could use him as a traditional wide tight end. And I think he had the ability to split out to the side, even though he's got good size. I thought a coach who's a little more creative offensively. Now, keep in mind, they had the former Patriots offensive coordinator, Josh McDaniels, at the time. So I thought Josh McDaniels would have some fun with him because his nickname was Baby Gronk. He wore 87. He was playing as a freshman. I watched him as a freshman. I'm like, oh my God, this guy's going to be awesome. And they never got creative with him. I didn't get it at all. I don't see this Raiders coaching staff really getting creative with Meyer, but I could see them using Brockers as more of a slot. It'll be interesting to see what they do, but if that's the case, this is the first time I'm hearing about Funk. They lost because they should have taken Arnold. That's kind of a no-brainer. Bad move by the Raiders then. Luckily, the Eagles didn't have to trade up. We say at 22. Oh, yeah, I was floored because I thought Mitchell would be gone to the Colts at 15. I was really surprised that the Colts didn't go after a corner. I get that they like Latu. There was a lot of Latu hype, and there was one mock draft where Atlanta was going to take Latu over Dallas Turner, which cleared medically, sure. I was really floored that both were available that late in the draft. That was really, really surprising. I actually thought you would draft Nate Wiggins, who went 30 to Baltimore, and I thought Wiggins would fit. Honestly, day one, I think Wiggins would have more success in that system, but Quinion Mitchell was my number one corner. It's a very, very, very good player, and I really like him. And by the way, if they do play more zone than man, that's going to really benefit him quite a bit. I think he's going to have success. It may not be immediate. And the problem is that when you look at last year's slide, if they have some problems early in the year, are they just going to kind of self-destruct and implode? It'll be interesting. The Eagles are going to be a fun team because talent-wise, they're as good as anybody in the NFC. They really are. After last year, I really don't know what to think about them. I'm not too sure why Lions traded up. Maybe they thought someone would take on them before and Quinnen was off the board at that pick. Oh, I 100% understand why. you get value. I think that I'm gonna speculate. At 29, I don't think they would have taken Wiggins. But if Rakestraw if they said, hey, you know what, Rakestraw is going to be available at the bottom of the second round, we'll take him there. I think there's a chance they may have gone in another direction, maybe. But they probably didn't have Rakestraw falling because a lot of teams thought that he would. If you watch the tape, Rakestraw's a first-round player, okay? Played awesome against the SEC competition, tough, physical, playmaker. I didn't know this until the draft, but he ran a 4.56 or a 4.59 at the combine. He had an issue that kept him out of the last couple games of the regular season. He played in the SEC what was the game against Ohio State? I think he played against Ohio State. I could be wrong. But he had an issue that was still bothering him, and that's why he ran a bad 40 time at the combine. But I understand completely. I mean, a lot of people thought he was a top 10 pick, and you get him at 24. Dallas, I'm kind of surprised Dallas traded down because Tyler Guyton, that's who they ended up taking at 29. A lot of people didn't think. A lot of people like Tyler Guyton was a name that was just skyrocketing up draft boards, and it both was it Tyler Guyton and he drafted another offensive lineman. Both those guys pan out, and Dallas has like the best offensive line in football. That could put up big numbers this year. And I think what they're doing is that they're saying, hey, look, if Dak puts up big numbers this year, we'll pay him a lot of money. If he doesn't, there's going to be some good quarterbacks that are going to come out in the draft. And we're going to talk this year. We're going to do a lot more college football, but Deion's son was it Shadir Sanders, probably going to be the number one pick in the 2025 draft. Here we are. We're not even 3 weeks away from the 2024 NFL draft. I'm already talking 2025 draft. The Packers taking Jordan Morgan of all tackles made me burst out laughing. I was not high on him. He got injured his junior year. Then he played in the Pac-12. I thought the injury alone should have made him a second round pick. So I was not high on Morgan at all. But the one thing I did like about him is he was one of the few guys that said, look, I'm a left tackle. And he came out public saying that. So I do like that about him. But I mean, look, he's going to have to be day one starter at left tackle. And here's another thing. He's from California, played college at Arizona, and now he's going to Green Bay. All right. Good luck. As somebody who's moved from Kansas City to Vegas, the temperature changes have an effect on your body. And if you don't believe me, watch the playoff game between Miami and Kansas City last year and look at Tua. All right. It gets ungodly. I've been up to Green Bay in February. It is ungodly cold. It's ungodly cold there. And I should, maybe I'm not the brightest one in the bunch, but it never occurred to me Green Bay is surrounded by water. So when that wind picks up and it hits the water, it doesn't matter what you're wearing. You're cold. You're cold. So a kid from California played ball at Arizona. Good luck. The Pack needs DB, so yeah, I think they would take him. Yeah, they did. They probably would have taken him at 25. And now we have that Mitchell and Arnold supposedly on the board higher than the O-line guy they took. Both those guys were. Yeah, easily. Yeah, you're right. Philly should be a lot better with coaches this year. They should. I mean, they really should. I think Fangio is really going to help. They got him some players. Yeah, it was a groin issue. You're right. Dallas, yeah, they do. And they should. No, you're right, Perry. If Powers becomes a star, it won't matter if they use him properly. But you have a defensive-minded coach. It looks like that they want to be more of a run heavy team. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. Falcons hook themselves up so they get no chief. Yeah, I still don't get it because I'm looking at Atlanta like, look, you take an edge rush here, whether it's Latu or Dallas Turner, and you're you win that division hands down. You host a playoff game. I really don't get it. I still don't get it, but I love Penix. The problem is Penix and Cousins are two different types of dudes throwing the ball. The only thing I could think of is that they want Penix to learn, like, hey, listen, this is the type of offense we want you to do. And it honestly, it's kind of sort of what he did at Washington. Kind of, maybe. It still confuses me. Yeah, it was a groin issue. I thought it was a knee, hamstring, or something. But yeah, I like the fact they toughed it out though. They honestly, the Lions probably would have taken Rakestraw at, I think it's Rakestraw at 29. They probably would have. I don't know what defensive ends off the top of my head would have been available there at 29. They could have gone defensive tackle. Never know. Saquon can break a lot of team. Oh, yeah. But by the way, there's some really good team records, but Saquon has all the talent in the world. The question's never been talent or athletic ability. If you had to say, give me the best athlete at the running back position in the NFL, it's Saquon Barkley, and I don't even think about it. Wide receiver, quarterback, tackle, now defensive end, it's probably Myles Garrett, probably. But yeah, as far as athletic ability, Saquon Barkley's freaky, really freaky. I mean, he's 235. He has home run speed, 40-inch vertical, set like every weightlifting record at Penn State. It's crazy. And the offensive line, the offensive line, Cam Jurgens is going to go back to his original position at center. He watched Kelsey do it for a couple of years. I think I hate to say this, but your offensive line's not really going to be affected that much. And I know that sounds crazy, but it's really not, barring injury. I mean, Kelsey was a warrior. I mean, he didn't get hurt at all. And, week 3, maybe Jurgens goes down with a knee injury. You never know. But no, you're not crazy to say that at all. The Eagles did a really good job preparing for this. The Eagles did a really good job preparing for this. Dallas they had a real solid draft. The only thing I don't like is they didn't get a running back, and I think Dallas, out of every team, as much as I talked about the NFL being different than college, it's the running back position is the position that translates easiest from college to pro. That's why if you're a team like Dallas, you should have gone after a young running back, not a free agent, not somebody with wear and tear on the tires, because you would have got somebody cheaper. And then mid-season, if you have to make a move, you have to make a move. But Dallas, and by the way, Trey Benson went to Arizona in the 3rd. Keep an eye out on him. Now, Carolina in the 2nd round, they traded up. I have all the – actually, it's on my other notebook. Traded up to get Jonathan Brooks. He was the first running back off the board at pick 46, I believe. And I don't like that move for Carolina because Carolina has Miles Sanders, Chuba Hubbard. They really didn't need him. Now I found out didn't they sign Rashad Penny? So you got all these running backs here. Now, keep in mind, I don't think he's going to play day one, but he should play sometime during the season. And if you watch him if you watch his film, it's like, yeah, you're probably a first round running back. Normal years, I mean, the positions he valued. It's hard to say what he would do, but after tearing his ACL, he went 45, 46, and Carolina traded up to get him. And I thought that was a mistake because I thought it was a mistake by Carolina because they need day one contributors, not projects or boom or bust players. But that's here or there. But yeah, Dallas has a solid draft. This is smart. This is the main reason I like having this channel is I want to get this information from all 32 teams. Funk says the Lions even limited Rakeshaw at snaps at camp today. He says he feels fine, but the Lions regime don't want to push him until they know for sure. Thank you for letting me know that, and that's smart because this is a guy that they're going to count on week one. Rakeshaw is going to play week one. He's going to play special teams probably. And I think they're going to count on him being the nickel guy. They may put him on the outside. And want to move Arnold inside. They may want to flip-flop him. I don't know. But smart, really smart. And this is the whole reason I created this channel is I want to get this inside information that I'm not hearing from the national media. So I think Morgan will be a solid guy at left tackle. I don't see him being a great one. That was why I like Tyler Guyton better because Tyler Guyton's ceiling is top 3 to 5 left tackle. Morgan's ceiling's probably top 10 to 12. And again, he's California born, plays at Arizona. Then he's going to Green Bay. Because it's kind of things have kind of changed now, but some people don't like playing in cold weather climates like Green Bay, Buffalo, or Kansas City. There's a lot of guys, especially guys that are from Texas or California or Florida that say, "Look, I'll take less money, just put me somewhere warm." It's true. It's true. So. But no, I don't see him being great. But here's the thing with Green Bay, they need him to be a day one starter. So apparently they feel comfortable with that. Or Tyler Guyton, Dallas is going to use him on the right side. But I thought he was the guy that could play left tackle. And I also think you could put him in day one at left tackle. But that's my opinion. It's from, I might be wrong. The GM should be on a short. The GM is actually on a short lease. I can't think of his name because they brought in him and Arthur Smith together a couple years ago. Arthur Smith is gone, and I don't know if it was Arthur Smith or the GM that made the hire for Raheem Morris to take back over as head coach. And I don't know whose decision it was to get rid of him either. They really don't go public with that, but the GM is definitely on a short leash. And I in my opinion, I don't think Arthur Smith, I don't know, but I don't think he's that involved with the day-to-day operations. I really don't. But the GM, now keep in mind, the GM, when they drafted, oh God, Denver Gators going to hate me. When they drafted the tight end out of Florida, oh God, name escapes me. 8th overall pick in the draft. One of my favorite players to watch in college football. Denver Gators going to hate me. The GM wanted to draft a quarterback, and he got overruled by the head coach. Now the head coach is gone. Kyle Pitts. Okay. And how this got public is even worse because somebody in that inner circle had to let it go. I would blame the general manager for that. It actually sounds like the general manager was kind of leaking that out, CYA. And by the way, Arthur Smith's no longer there, but the GM is. Yeah. He could be gone. Yeah. The Eagles gave him a lot of money. I agree. And that was, if he stays healthy, which by the way, last year, I think I said it all last year and it didn't happen. I kept on saying, CMC, Christian McCaffrey for the 49ers. It's just a matter of time. He's going to get hurt. It's just a matter of time. He's going to get hurt. It's just a matter of time. He's going to get hurt. He never got hurt the whole year. 3-4 playoff games, whatever. I think they played 3. Never got hurt. Barkley stays healthy. He'll be an MVP candidate. He will. Don't see it. Yeah. Sasha's reading my mind, man. CMC missed no time after he got semi-stable offense. Yeah, that is true. That is true. Here's one thing about CMC too, is that CMC played at like 190, 195, and then he did the workout. I call it the Evander Holyfield workout. The Holyfield's first one I knew that did it. But there's also, I read the book. I don't think it's, I'm drawing a blank. Anyway, it's the autobiography about the personal trainer who helped Michael Jordan because Michael Jordan sought him out after losing to Detroit in the Eastern Conference Finals about how to handle going from like, I'm going to call it the NFL 20, but I think Jordan specifically went from like 190 to 205. And he had all these series of workouts that you had to do to put on weight. But you also had to do all these exercises at the same, I'm going to say the same rate, but that's probably not the right word. But you had to do all these exercises the same that you could at your previous weight. So it didn't hinder your quickness or speed. And that's how the Bulls overcame the Pistons. And this guy ended up, he has a personal training clinic. He worked with Kobe Bryant and a bunch of other athletes. But he helped develop the method where this is how you bulk up. Now, linemen don't do this. Linemen just get bigger and they don't like, well, I'm going to gain, I'm going to go from 305 to 325, but I have to do everything at 325 that I did at 3. They don't do that. Skilled position players try to do that. And Christian McCaffrey was able to do everything he's now 220. They was able to do it 195. And Reggie Bush did the same thing. Reggie Bush's body broke down because, he's naturally a 195-pound dude. Well, when he got to 220, you have to realize your ligaments don't grow. Your bones don't grow. A lot of times you can't handle it. Plus, you're also getting, 300-pound men trying to kill you. So, I thought that CMC would constantly be battling injuries, but he proved me wrong. Barkley is naturally 230. So that's definitely a possibility because he ran behind a bad offensive line in New York. Now he's running behind one of the best. Dark horse candidate for MVP. If the Vikings have a bad or worse season, GM, I think the head coach is safe. He's pretty widely held in most people around NFL circles really like him, but the Vikings have made a lot of very questionable trades over the last couple of years. Very questionable, including that one made with your Lions to drop down from 12 to 32. I looked at this, I'm like, wait a minute. You're going down 20 spots in the first round and you're giving up a second? Are you what? And it doesn't matter which chart you use, where you used was it the Davis Hill chart, or I'm drawing a blank. Doesn't matter which chart you're going to use. Whatever, why they did that, I have no idea. And then they after making that trade, I think they traded down again with Green Bay, and Green Bay ended up with Christian Watson. Originally, I thought that the trade was with Detroit. I was like, no, but anyway, that's how they got Christian Watson. I don't know. They actually traded down again, if I'm correct. They went from 34 to 46, got the corner out of Clemson, who's been, I don't even know if he's with the team anymore. I loved him coming out of Clemson. Should know his name, but I don't. I loved him coming out of Clemson. I just remember, like, this is a great pick at 46 or 44, whatever it was, and just couldn't stay healthy. I don't think he's on the team anymore. Very questionable moves. Yeah, I don't think the Giants. If they go to the playoffs and win a game with McCarthy as a starting quarterback, then maybe. But yeah, I think he could be gone. Head coach, I think, is safe. The general manager, I think is on the hot seat. I don't think we'll be pounding him into the dirt and running the offense through him like New York had to do. No, I think they're using him a lot more in the passing game. That's why I think that he could be an MVP candidate, because I actually think that his the way that you're going to use him is, I think that he'll have like 2 to 250 carries and then 80 to 100 receptions. But I think he'll touch the ball about 300 to 350 times a game. I think he could have 20 touches a game. But the thing with Saquon Barkley is that because he's 230, 235, you think to yourself, he's a between the tackles power type of dude. He's really not. He's got the strength, but he's never been a guy that like, hey, it's 3rd and 1, give it to Saquon Barkley up the middle. He's never been that guy. Actually, it's funny because it's kind of frustrating. The one thing about Saquon Barkley that really frustrates me is he doesn't put his head down enough. He plays like he's 200 pounds, but he's 230. If Philly realizes on 3rd and short, due to tush push, which has not been outlawed yet by the NFL, for whatever reason, it works, due to tush push on short yardage, and use Saquon Barkley like he's 195 pounds. And if you do that and you try to use plays, get him in the open field, let him use his playmaking ability. He has excellent feet, great moves. And the best part is that you can't bring him down with an arm tackle, and he's a mismatch against corners and safeties because of his size. But for whatever reason, he's never mastered that, hey, look, it's 3rd and 1, give me the rock. He's more of a, hey, it's 2nd and 10, give me the ball on the outside, and maybe I go 80 for a touchdown. But if he has about 80 to 100 receptions this year, oh, God, he could easily go 1,000. I do too. Perry says, I think Dallas can pick someone up. I do too, and don't be surprised if there's a trade. But I really think it would have been a better move to take a rookie and say, hey, guess what? Come on in, get 300 touches, win a ring. And I'd be curious if Jonathan Brooks, who Carolina took at either 45 or 46, if he was there in the 2nd round, would they have taken him? Keaton Talk Sports says, I'm hoping for improvement from my Pats this season. Be happy between 7 and 9 wins, more towards 8. I think I'm more I think I'm more optimistic about the Patriots than you are. And the reason why is I look at this defense, and I spent a long time ranting about the Jets defense. You get Matthew Judon coming back. You get Christian Gonzalez coming back. Josh Uche, who had 15 and a half sacks 2 years ago on a 1-year deal. He's on a prove-it deal. Bill Belichick didn't want him playing full-time, so he was a part-time pass rusher 2 years ago, had 15 and a half sacks. I love Josh Uche. Kyle Duggar signed for a nice free agent deal to stay with you guys. I look at that front 7, and I'm like, Judon stays, Uche plays, you got Barmore. Like, this defense is almost as good as the Jets. And you have the same problem as the Jets. It's on the offensive side of the ball. The problem is the Jets got Aaron Rodgers, I think one of the 10 greatest quarterbacks to ever play. You got a 21-year-old kid who's going to have to figure a lot of things out. You're going to be a run-heavy team with a great defense. I'm an old school guy. So I'd say. But so here's the deal. You're kind of young. Brady's first 3 Super Bowls were built off of a running team with a great defense, and he was more of a complementary piece. When they beat the greatest show on earth, the score was 20-17. It was that great defense. They ran the ball. And then Brady had to make key plays late in the game. If you've never watched the 99 Super Bowl, go watch. Just watch the last couple minutes of it. The score was tied. I think it's like 53 seconds left. And they're on the 20, because now it'd be 25, but they're on the 20. And Madden goes, here, you're going to see the Patriots take a knee and go for overtime. Instead, that was Brady's first shining moment where they said, hey, they're going to be in prevent, dink and dunk, try to get 40 yards, and we'll kick a field goal. And that's what happened. And Patriots won the Super Bowl, one of the biggest upsets in Super Bowl history. Not the biggest, but top 10. And they brought in a guy, Corey Dillon, who, if he played longer in New England than he did with Cincinnati, would be in Hall of Fame caliber running back. Corey Dillon, oh my God. Corey Dillon won, I think, NFL MVP. I want to say 2003. They won the Super Bowl 2003, 2004. Corey Dillon was MVP. And I think like the next year he retired. Something like that. But, Corey Dillon was so good. You have no idea. Corey Dillon should be in the Hall of Fame. Will probably never get there. Just spent so many bad seasons on a bad Bengals team. He was so good. The first Super Bowl in 2001, Antoine Smith had 1,000 yards, solid first round pick, a solid running back, big dude, just never was a star. Corey Dillon played more in New England than he did with Cincinnati. He'd be in the Hall of Fame. These were the guys that the Patriots were built around in the early 2000s. They weren't built around Brady. Great defense, really good running game. The issue is the offensive line was a lot better. You have to fix some things on the offensive line. Keaton Talk Sports says, also think Dallas take a step back. They got worse this offseason. Guyton is the only solid pick, but a bit raw. Yeah, he's so the third round pick that they have, the offensive lineman, I'm drawing a blank. His name's the guy I love. So they have two guys that could be massive starters. CeeDee Lamb's just getting better, and better. I don't think the defense has taken a step back. If anything, they're going to get Diggs back. They got another player to rush the passer. Zimmer is going to be a little more creative. So it's going to be a different scheme. Offensively, the problem, here's the thing though, Tony Pollard wasn't the every down dude. It was Ezekiel Elliott, and now they got rid of both, and then they brought Elliott back. But I don't know if Dallas really got worse though. Okay, let me do this. Did they get worse from being a 12-win team and the number 2 seed? Maybe. Are they worse than a team that lost in the wild card round? I don't think so. And the issue is that Green Bay just outcoached them, but they also beat them up physically. That's not going to happen on Zimmer defense. I can tell you that right now. It's not going to happen on Zimmer defense. You may beat Dallas, but you're not going to beat them by beating them up and running the ball all over them like you did in the play, or like Green Bay did in the playoffs last year. So I don't know if I think Dallas took a step back. The issue is, though, remember Dallas had a better record they beat Detroit. Didn't they beat Detroit? Which team I like better, Dallas or Detroit? Well, I like Detroit better. But I don't know if they really took a step back. And Guyton on the right side could be special. Dog Wow Pow, I don't recognize you, so make sure you hit that subscribe button. Man, I love the icon there. It's kind of cool. I can't read any of this. He says hi. Dallas is playing. Yeah, they are. And it wouldn't surprise me if they play hardball with Tyler Smith and want to get rid of him or move him inside the guard and then have Tyler Guyton play left tackle eventually. Dog Wild Pal says, do you think the Panthers have a chance to win the NFC South? Okay. God. So you're new and want to be nice, very little. And let me do this here. Let me twist it around. Here's how they win the NFC South. Here's how they win. So they drafted Xavier Legette. If he's a guy that has all the tools to be a superstar, but I think he went to the wrong team. He went to a team where he has to be the guy. And I think if he was a guy that was drafted in the second round where he doesn't have to be the main guy right away, that would have been a perfect fit for him. Return kicks, punts, playing the slot, Be a little more creative. Now Dave Canales is a very creative guy, and I love what he did last year with Tampa Bay. Late in the year, they just went back to a quick rhythm passing game, which was Baker Mayfield's strength. So I'm assuming from what he did last year in Tampa Bay, that's what he's going to do with Bryce Young. And can Bryce Young do that quick rhythm passing game? Absolutely. Can Xavier Legette be that guy? I don't know, because he's got to be the guy immediately, and I don't know if he can. You drafted a running back in the second round, Jonathan Brooks. If he didn't tear his ACL, there's a chance he would have been the only running back to go in round 1. He was the first running back taken, and he tore his ACL. Watch him at Texas, and then can he get to that form at Carolina at some point in the season? Now, you signed Miles Sanders to a lot of money. He couldn't play. You have a left tackle, Nicky Ekwonu, who I fell in love with. I thought he possibly was the best player in the draft. I don't understand. He hasn't panned out. So whoever your offensive line coach hasn't developed him. Jatavion Sanders, the 4th round pick out of Texas. He only lasted the 4th round. He ran a 4.69 at the combine. I believe he really plays like a 4.5 guy. He was a guy that I was kind of low-key hoping would go to Kansas City. Kansas City took Jared Wiley instead, which I'm very happy about. But Sanders has the tools to be that receiving tight end. You have a guy, Tommy Tremble, a guy that was a 3rd round pick out of Notre Dame. I loved coming out of Notre Dame. It was funny because he's not as good as Michael Mayer, who played with him, but I really liked the guy nonetheless. So if these guys all pan out, then yeah. But you lost several starters. You wisely, one of the biggest thing I like about the Carolina Panthers and what they did, the smartest thing they did is they gave Derek Brown a boatload of money, and he deserved it. I love Derek Brown coming out of Auburn. He played fantastic last year, but look how many started with Latu. Your starting corner you traded for Deontay Thompson, drawing a blank on his name. Lete Lavu, whatever it is, your leading tackler. You kept the defensive coordinator, which was a little unusual. You bring in a coach who has no coaching experience. Do I think the Panthers have a chance? I actually do, but it's a small chance. I would say less than 15%. The only way they can win is if number one, Bryce Young has to become Bryce Young. Like, he has to become the Heisman Trophy winning caliber quarterback. He has to exhibit the same things that made him the great quarterback at Alabama. He has to be that guy. Xavier Legette has to pan out. Jatavion Sanders, your 4th round pick out of Texas, he has to pan out. The running back that shake, Jonathan Brooks, he needs to play this year like the guy that you saw before the ACL tear. I think Miles Sanders has to pan out a little more. I looked on ESPN. He's benched. I'm assuming you're a Panthers fan because you asked this question. Is Chuba Howard just better? Like and the defense, you're keeping your defensive coordinator, but you lost a bunch of starters. Can they play better? All those things happen. You can get to 9 wins, and 9 wins can win the NFC South because Atlanta doesn't really want to win the NFC South this year. I'm probably picking Tampa, but I'm not 100% sold on them, but I like what they've done. Saints are interesting, but I'm not sure if they need to kind of reboot or not. So, great question, man. I'm so glad to see you. Barkley, yeah. It depends on if Young can take a step forward. If Young can't, the Panthers picking top 10 to me before a quarterback. You're 100% correct. I mean, you drafted a guy who did wonders with Baker Mayfield, and let's be honest, Bryce Young's more talented than Baker Mayfield. They will be slightly better, but no Panthers will finish last, maybe 3rd at best. That NFC South's so weird, man. Holmes won that trade, but he picked the wrong guy. Holmes, one of Holmes' weakness, trading up in trade value. In that first round, I don't know. In the first round, it's hard to say. I love Arnold. I don't have a problem with it. Giving up a first and a third, Dallas parlayed that in the two starters, so it's hard to say. But trading up in what was it, the fourth and fifth, giving up a third and a fourth for project type players, I didn't like it. Andrew Booth, that's who it was. Thank you. I loved him coming out of Clemson. And he's still there? Okay. Yeah, I thought he was going to be a stud, so I hated the trade. Oh, yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Holmes won that trade. Okay, I'm sorry, Perry. Yeah, Holmes definitely. Yeah, that was fantastic. And yeah, you're right. Okay, I'm sorry. So Perry's referring to the trade where Detroit went from 32 to 12 and took Jamison Williams. And the Vikings ended up trading down twice and getting Andrew Booth. I want to say at 44 or 46. I have it in my notebook. And I remember liking Andrew Booth a lot. He came out of Clemson. I thought he was a man corner. Really liked his game. Thought he was like not as good as AJ Terrell, but I have a huge man crush on AJ Terrell. I think AJ Terrell, like last year he was hurt, but I think he can be a top 5. He stays healthy. I think he's top 5 corner, top 10. I really like AJ Terrell a lot. I really like AJ Terrell a lot. Andrew Booth took over for him at Clemson. Maybe that's why I like him so much. Hasn't been that guy. Hasn't been that guy. Could be a trade cap or trade or cut possibility, but I mean he's not even starting, is he? Cap space, yeah. They really should have just gone with a rookie. Trey Benson, I thought was a really low key pick for Arizona. It wouldn't surprise me if Trey Benson's more productive than Marvin Harrison Jr. I think Trey Benson could be possible rookie of the year for Arizona. The only issue is that, and I've said this before, so I'm going to just repeat myself. What's better? 15 carries, 45 yards, and 2 touchdowns, or 15 carries and 90 yards. And it's 45 and 2. But if you have 15 carries for 90 yards, and keep in mind that's 6 yards a carry, so it's a little obscene, but 90 yards a game over 17 game season, that's let me see here, what's 1530, if I'm doing my math right. It's over 1,500 yards. You're probably leading the NFL in rushing. And I could see something like that where Jonathan Cooper is a former Pittsburgh Steeler. It's probably going to get to more touchdowns. But Benson, I think, could break 1,000. And that's very impressive. And he's got home run speed, and I love his size. And people were like, well, he didn't do that much at Florida State. And he didn't need to. He didn't need to. They went undefeated during the regular season. Then they were like on their 4th string quarterback and lost by 300 to Georgia. I still think Georgia got screwed out of that Final Four. God, Perry's on fire today, man. God, Perry, you're always doing good, but this is like the exceptional. You got, most of you guys are too young, but he's on fire. You remember that? He hit NBA Jam. He hit 3 in a row, and like there's like flame around the hoop. That's what Perry is right now. I wish I could like do a little fire emoji. God, he's on fire today. If May can learn fast, if Pats can surprise, absolutely. I 100% believe that. If not, May need a year or two and a few solid drafts. So the problem I have is that they drafted in the 2nd round. They went after Jalen Polk. I didn't like him that high. I really didn't. Pans out great. I didn't like him that high. And then they took a tackle. I'm drawing a blank on who it was in the 3rd round. And they kind of need him to be a starter at left tackle. Well, actually, they got the old starter from Pittsburgh, and he wasn't that good. So The offensive line's going to be a problem. A couple of years ago, they drafted, I think 2 years ago, they drafted Sidney Sowell. Now, he was a left tackle at Eastern Michigan. Absolutely loved him as a guard, dominated on the Senior Bowl. A lot of people had a second-round grade on him. Patriots got him in the fourth round. He kind of struggled last year as a guard, but he's a guy that's got a lot of upside and a lot of talent. They drafted, what was it? It's not David Andrews is their center. Some kid out Chattanooga or something like that. Maybe his name's, I forget. Anyway, he was a surprise first round pick. Played well as a rookie. Didn't play that well last year. And if they can if all those guys improve, Mike Okwanu, something like that. He's starting right tackle. He was a guard, moved out to tackle. He's a top 10 right tackle. He's a really good player. They fix all that stuff. You get solid play on left tackle. You got your offensive line's good. I think they need some help. Houston's AFC South. So in the NFC South, you have Atlanta, Tampa Bay, the Saints, and Carolina. The issue is with Carolina, got their first three picks, or not the first three picks. They drafted, maybe that's the first three picks, but anyway, their wide receiver, running back, tight end, they drafted in the first, second, and fourth round. All of these guys are project boom or bust type of players. So, yeah, I got that right. Did Kansas City pick a corner in the draft? No, they took a safety in the fourth round, a guy I really like. He's going to replace Mike Edwards, and he's also going to play some special teams. But no, the Chiefs have they're going to ask Trent McDuffie to kind of do what L'Jarius Sneed did last year. Then we got Jalen Watson, Joshua Williams. Then there's some other young corners. There was one guy, Nick Polk, I think. He was 7th round pick out of Ball State, who was playing special teams last year. Played a little bit last year at corner. Did okay. The Chiefs are going to be a team that I think teams are really going to try to spread out. Go 4 or 5 wide receiver sets and try to dink and dunk. That's kind of the way I see it, because the front seven's solid. The front seven's really good. But because you lose L'Jarius Sneed, I thought McDuffie was first team All-Pro. I'm not sure he really deserved it. I'm really not sure he really deserved it, because L'Jarius Sneed was the better corner, but no, Kansas City didn't pick a corner. I'm kind of curious what Kansas City's going to do, because they gave Chris Jones all that money, but I think he's either 29 or 30. And I mean, as a human being and a Chiefs fan, I loved it, but general rule of thumb, you don't want to give somebody who's it was third contract, third or fourth. I mean, let's face it. When you hit 30 in the NFL, it's you usually just don't start playing better. So, 6th round. Are you talking this year's draft? I'm just drawing a blank on Carolina's draft completely. Let me pull it up real quick. Drafted a defensive tackle. Are you talking about Carolina? Actually, I forgot about Trevon Wallace, the linebacker that you drafted in the 3rd round. He may start. So I think so, but I just wasn't as high on him as others. Really wasn't. So Panthers need to, it all starts with Ike Ekwonu, who I thought was going to be an absolute monster. I loved Ike Ekwonu. He was turned into my favorite player, and I haven't seen it yet. I just haven't seen it. As a matter of fact, I don't think he played well last year. So if Mayo can win the player, All right, if you're talking about Polk, yeah, I mean, we're going to have to wait and see. I mean, the one thing I like about him is that he's got some size. He's got some hands. I'm not too concerned about the 4.5 when you're 6'1", 200. I just thought 36. There was some other receivers I liked better, and I also would have gone left tackle instead. Miami at 45 took Patrick Paul, who I started really falling in love with. He would be a day one starter. That would be an excellent fit. So talents are looking loaded. Boyd, Ridley, Thompson, solid wide receiver duo. Yeah, you're right. So there was some talk about the former first-round pick out of Arkansas, Treylon Burks. Okay, it took me a second. So Treylon Burks, there was some talk about Treylon Burks being traded to Kansas City, which is a place I thought he should have been traded to. Treylon Burks was the first-round pick after Tennessee traded A.J. Brown to Philly. They used that draft pick on Treylon Burks. And I thought this was a bad move because Treylon Burks was raw coming out of Arkansas. A.J. Brown was much more polished coming out of Ole Miss than Treylon Burks was coming out of Arkansas. You remember Antonio Gibson? He came out of Memphis. He was a receiver. Washington made him a running back. That may have been the better move for Treylon Burks to play running back instead of receiver. He just was raw, and he was expected to go into Tennessee and replace A.J. Brown, which was a bad move. Now, going to Kansas City where he doesn't have to be the number one option, I think would be smart. And there's talk now about trade rumors, but I actually don't think it'll work out. But here's the deal. Since you signed Boyd and you got Ridley and you got Hopkins, you got former first-round pick with all sorts of talent. Do you try to move him? What value does he have? Is Hopkins a guy you want to move mid-season? And I say that because his contract's up. He's not going to come back. Everything about Tennessee screams square peg, round hole. You get this massive defensive tackle, you get this massive offensive tackle, but you get rid of Derrick Henry. You bring in the wide receiver from the Bengals, along with your dad, who's the offensive line coach. So you're going to try. It looks like you're going to try to run the Cincinnati system, but you're still better suited to play smash mouth football. And you're in a division with Doug Peterson, a pass happy coach. I think Houston's going to be a pass happy team, and the Colts. Honestly, nobody knows what the Colts are going to look like because Anthony Richardson coming back. So you draft a space eater in the second round. Okay, great. So you're going to be the team that runs heavy. Okay, fine. Well, you got rid of your running back, the 245-pound dude, and you're paying Tony Pollard more money than Baltimore's paying Derrick Henry, but you're better suited for a smash mouth line. And by the way, great trio is Will Levis, the type of guy that just goes back there, ding, 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 ding. No, he's a dude with the big arm who wants to go downfield, but that's not what the Bengals did. Now, if Denver Gators out there, he's going to be pissed. Don't ever say anything bad about Will Levis to Denver Gator. As a matter of fact, Denver Gators started putting mayonnaise in his coffee because Will Levis does it. By the way, who the fuck puts mayonnaise in coffee? So we'll have to wait and see. Now, if Will Levis is a Pro Bowl caliber quarterback and he looks like C.J. Stroud did last year, yeah. But yeah. Over the players gel under him, Pat's makes an. Oh yeah, I think Mayo's a good coach. I think Jared Mayo is a good coach, but you are right. Kraft does not have a lot of patience, and I could see him wanting to get away from a defensive-minded team because that's the offense. That offense is kind of what's selling tickets right now, and there's some hot names. out there that are offensive minded coaches that are going to get head coaching jobs next year. There's also college coaches. And I say college coaches, I'm specifically meaning the guy Lincoln Riley. That's what I was going to say. I was trying to think. You got Lincoln Riley. Now Joe Barry took over as offensive coordinator for the Bills midway through the season. They really improved. If the Bills offense explodes, that's going to be a name that may hit some head coaching charts. Whoever's taken over as offensive coordinator in Cincinnati, I think that's going to be a guy that's going to get some names, or it's going to get some votes. Kellen Moore, who's taken over in Philly, as an opportunity. Could be terrible, could be great. So, well, Trent McDuffie is going to be one. Jalen Watson's a guy that was playing pretty well. Joshua Williams, he was a 4th-round pick a couple years ago out of Fayetteville State, and I was wondering if maybe he was going to be with the safety because he's like 6'2", 6'3", 205. He was playing a lot on special teams. Started playing more towards the end of last year. I'm leaning towards him, but basically it's McDuffie, and then it's kind of an open season. I kind of got a feeling it's going to be Joshua Williams and McDuffie, and then Jalen Watson is going to play a little inside outside. There was some corners. There was one guy, Keys, was super, super high on, got hurt in preseason. He thinks that it's going to really have an effect here on the Chiefs roster. I don't see it personally. Nick Jones was a 7th-round pick out of Ball State last year, made the team. And he's a guy that, like, I'm like, man, I think this guy can play. Oh, my God. The Homeland, man. Welcome, brother. So, by the way, Keaton Talk Sports, this guy right here is also a Patriots fan. So it's kind of cool. We got some Pats fans in the house here. Homeland says, what's up, fellas? Hope everyone's doing well. I hope you are doing well, Homeland. It's so great to see you. Rocking the Brady thumbnail with the old school helmet, which is badass. I think it's the old school because it's white. But I'm looking at it a little closer. I'm not really sure what that is. But anyway, yeah. Man, I'm glad to see you, man. I'm glad to have some Patriots fans in the house here. That's fantastic. Because the Patriots, I think, are kind of a team I'm looking at, like, fantastic defense, better at the quarterback position. There's no ceiling on how good Ramondre Stevenson can be, especially if he plays all 17 games and can stay healthy. No ceiling. And you made improvements at the wide receiver position. Polk's got to really play well, though. Perry Ball, I agree. People seem to get Pats had one of the best defenses last year, and that was without Judon and Gonzalez. Most of their games decided by 6 points. We just needed, yeah, that's all you need. Ben Roethlisberger, as a rookie, led Pittsburgh to a 15-1 record. They had a great defense. Now keep in mind they had Jerome Bettis, Hall of Fame running back. Took a lot of the pressure off, but all they needed was, they went into games like, look, all we got to do is score 21 and we can win. And that's what they did. And when I look at New England, I'm like, look, you run the ball 60% of the time with the 245-pound battering ram. You got Antonio Gibson from Washington. If I'm Antonio Gibson, I'm slimming down and trying to play more receiver than running back. And the reason why is that I want to stay in the NFL longer. Who lasts longer, a 230-pound running back or a 215-pound receiver? There you go. Now, he may need to be 230 pounds if Stevenson goes down again like he did last year, but you run the ball 60% of the time. You try to put May in situations where he's not putting the whole team on his shoulders. The less you do of that, the more you can kind of build. So that's kind of the way I see it. But yeah, the defense is great. And you have to understand, look, you're playing. What did Brian Burns get? A 5-year, $150 million deal Josh Uche, that's what he's looking at. That's what he's looking at. And there you go. All you got to do is his agent should be telling him, hey, did you see what Brian Burns got? Get those sacks. Don't win your deal. Yeah, absolutely. Tristan Thompson for the Patriots, he had the fastest wide receiver time at the combine 2 years ago. Ran, I think it was a 4.27. He can't run routes, can't catch. That's why when you look at, matter of fact, let me just do this here. It's not, by the way, ESPN's not the most accurate. But if you go to New England Patriots depth chart on ESPN, all right, and that's what I'm doing right now. Kendrick Bourne, Demario Douglas, Jalen Polk are the starters. Tyquan Thornton, that's the name. He's listed as third string. Second round pick in 2022, ran 4.27. Ran a 4.27. There's a reason why he may not even make the team this year. If Will Levis takes a step forward, the Titans may contend for the division. He's got to take a big step. And here's the drill. This is his second year in the NFL. It's his second new offense. And this offense is going to be completely different than the offense he ran last year. And he was drafted by a team wanting to run the Mike Vrabel run-heavy offense that wants to go downfield. So you bring in a head coach who wants to run a quick rhythm passing offense, and that's not really Will Levis's strength. But let's just say Will Levis gets in there, fits like a hand in a glove, and because look at Joe Burrow, and then look at Will Levis. They're not alike at all. Levis is a dude with the big arm that throws a beautiful deep ball, has a lot of athleticism. Burrow is the type of guy that is not really killing you with the deep ball. I'm not saying he can't throw the deep ball, but that's not how he kills you. What's killing you is razor sharp accuracy and just ability to really process and deliver. That it's very quick rhythm passing offense. That's not what Will Levis does well, and that's why I'm not high on the Titans at all, because you're. It just, everything about Tennessee, just, I keep saying this over and over again because I can't think of a better analogy. It's square peg, round hole. But if everything fits, offense, hey, look, Latham ends up being a world-class left tackle. The rest of that offensive line gels. Great. Levis bonds in this great offense, even though it's like being a rookie. It's like starting all over again. Great. Defense is good. Nobody's looking at Tennessee's defense and going, oh, no, we need some help. No, they're pretty good. You're losing Vrabel, and I think that takes something away. And that AFC South, man, I mean, Jacksonville, remember Jacksonville was 7-3 at one point. And just fell apart. What they do at the end of the season? They got rid of their defensive coordinator. That offense is still loaded. Perry, wasn't Brian Thomas Jr. your number one guy? Houston Texans, they got aggressive. Nobody knows how good the Colts can be, but Jonathan Taylor stays healthy. He's probably the best. Okay, 2 years ago, when he stayed healthy, he led the NFL in rushing by like over 500 yards. And he had 1,800. Second place was like 1,200. Jonathan Taylor, when healthy, is a top 5 running back. Maybe the best running back in football. Maybe. I would say Nick Chubb, personally. Saquon Barkley's the best athlete. I think Nick Chubb's the best running back if he's healthy. And by the way, this is like the third or fourth time in his career he's like torn an ACL. Like not only does he have to stay healthy, he has to come back again. And, modern medicine and technology has improved, but there's no guarantee. And I don't know how old Nick Chubb is. I think he's still in his 20s, but he's been in the NFL for several years. So, does he come back, and is he the same guy? That's a big question. It's a very big question. So, but is Tony Pollard the guy that can handle, 350 touches? No. And I'm forgetting who the backup running back is. Was it Tyree Sparks? Is that it? To get out Tulane, the 3rd round pick out Tulane last year. He started to play really well. I actually really liked him, but I really thought that he, I thought they were using him too much. I didn't think they were using Derrick Henry enough, but I think they were doing that on purpose because they realized, hey, we're not a playoff team. Let's keep them fresh. And for what? They got rid of him. So, but the contract that they gave Pollard, they should have just kept Derrick Henry. They didn't want him. We'll find out. Lincoln Riley doesn't want to play in the NFL right now. I don't know who the quarterback is that's taken over, but he set a USC and Holiday Bowl record with 6 passing touchdowns against Louisville. And I was like, oh my God, this guy can play. This guy can play. So here's the deal. You're going to the Big Ten. Listen, I'm not pandering to Keaton, but if there's a better team in college football than Ohio State, I haven't seen it. I mean, this team's loaded. Loaded. They got a wide receiver as a true freshman. I watched a spring ball game just for a few minutes. I'm like, that's probably a top 5 pick in 3 years. They're already. This guy's already like the next. Big time wide. He's going to eat unless he punches a baby, smacks his girlfriend, or gets injured. He's going to be a top 10 pick. Like, I've watched a lot of football over the years. Like, when you see guys like this as true freshmen that look like men among boys, like this stands out. This is exceptional. I'm not kissing Keaton's ass at all. The thing is that I actually tell you the truth. So, like, I'm gonna do a lot more college football this during the regular season this year, but Georgia's loaded. I'm gonna take Alabama. I'm gonna take Alabama out of things for a little bit because I kind of want to see what happens. I like the coaching staff, but Nick Saban's the greatest of all time. You're going with some guy that hasn't coached in the SEC, and it's different. But you have Ohio State, you have Georgia. Ole Miss is loaded. They lost their running back to Ohio State, but they are loaded. A lot of people think that LSU, because they lose Jaden Daniels and their 2-star wide receivers. Yeah, that linebacker that they got, and I can't think of his name, could be all world. The defense is loaded. That team actually is probably going to be better. I know people are going to look sideways. Listen to me. LSU is probably going to be better this year than last year as far as wins and losses. I know he had that bazooka arm, but I think he's an NFL tight end, Joe Milton. They get a good quarterback at Tennessee. That team can contend for a national title. So it's already an offensive league. So what happened is scoring is like an all-time like low in like the last 12 years, and people don't realize here's why defenses got better is because they opened up the roster, and teams were figuring out that you just load up with defensive linemen and you just dumb down the system, where instead of you learning the whole defense, you just take a guy from off the street and you say, hey, look, just go third down, we're going to put you in, go after the quarterback. And you can do that with defensive players now. It's kind of funny because offensive linemen are like, got to be 330, 350. But like take Chop Robinson out Penn State. He's 255? He's going to play defensive end or outside linebacker or edge. And then you rotate him in, where, first or second down, you have Jalen Phillips, who ran a 4.51, and he's like 270. Well, on third down, maybe you kick him inside. And then you bring some guy off the street who is fresh and ready to go against a guy that's 330 who's been playing the whole game. And that's why the defense is kind of stood up, is that teams are figuring this out. is that the best teams in the NFL, and when I say the best teams in the NFL, Detroit didn't do it. But and that's one thing I really don't like. But San Francisco had like an 8-man rotation on that defensive line. Baltimore did the same thing. So did Kansas City. And more teams are doing that, where instead of you got like a stud and then you just rotate them in. By the way, watch the Super Bowl where the Chiefs played the 49ers. Chris Jones didn't play the whole game. They played at the important part at the very end. And that's why defenses did well. I think that in college, they actually rotate offensive linemen. And I think sooner or later, NFL teams may start doing that, where they'll give offensive linemen a breather. It hasn't happened so far, but I think that's going to be the next step. It's just a question of when. And if that happened, and by the way, that will happen if the NFL has an expansion where instead of like 56, or was it 55, and then you have an international player exception, if that goes to 60 or 65, teams are going to start doing that overcompensate. But we'll wait and see what happens. But I think it's already an offensive league, and it bugs me because I'm an old school guy. I love defensive struggles. Perry's on fire. A coach needs to build around the QB you got. Yeah, exactly. And that's why I'm not a fan of what Tennessee did, is that I don't think Levis fits that system. And I'm not saying Levis is a bad guy. So Denver Gator, if you're watching, I'm not talking trap about your guys. I just don't see it. One of the big reasons that Patrick Mahomes has had so much success is because Andy Reid changed his offense completely from what the Chiefs did with Alex Smith. And they built the offense around Patrick Mahomes. They got rid of Tyreek Hill. Well, let's build this around Patrick Mahomes. Now, Patrick Mahomes, from the neck up, has a near photographic memory, something that's very much overlooked. And when you talk about Patrick Mahomes, but that's one of the reasons why he's been so successful. And that's why Aaron Rodgers is so frustrated over the years, is that he wanted, he finally got the offensive coordinator that he wanted. Then he took over in Denver. Now they brought him with the Jets. You got to build a team around the quarterback that you got. If not, you will fail. Perry, you're right. And teams that do this will be very, very successful. Look at your Detroit Lions. You bring in Jared Goff. You do what he does well. If you get rid of Jared Goff, then you do it. Hendon Hooker is successful. By the way, I can't wait to see Hendon Hooker. Yes, Thomas is my number one wide receiver in the draft. He will be a star. He's got size. Great. He actually has great speed, can catch and run routes. I actually love Brian Thomas Jr. Didn't he run like a 4.34 at like 6'2", 200? You'd have to tell me, but yeah, he's your number one receiver. He goes to a great spot. Goes to a great spot in Jacksonville. He doesn't have to be the number one guy either. That's what I really like. You have Evan Ingram, who had 108 catches last year. Christian Kirk, who was the number one receiver, then he got hurt, and that was part of the reason why they weren't kind of able to build things. You have an excellent running back in Travis Etienne, who, if he stays healthy, he's as good as anybody. So I'm really, really high on Travis Etienne. He put on the NFL 20. Did the same thing I was talking about with CMC. Played college at 195. He's 220. Actually, I think Etienne's playing 210, 215. But he's a guy that is handling it really well. He's still breakaway threat type of guy. And then you also have Tank Bigsby, who's backing him up. You got Gabe Davis from Buffalo, who's not asked to be the number one guy. Smart. Gabe Davis, similar build to Brian Thomas. Hopefully he's following Gabe Davis, and then Gabe Davis telling him, hey, look, man, watch this game against Kansas City. Had 8 catches, 4 touchdowns, 200 yards. Ignored the part where Patrick Mahomes won the game in the final 13 seconds, but watch the rest of the game. You're a better athlete than I am. You should be doing this every game. Hopefully that's what's happening. And Jacksonville is going to be so dangerous. But they have some holes on defense. So, but you couldn't ask for a better spot. And would they draft him at 23? Yeah, they traded down. They traded down and got him at 23. Great move for Jacksonville. I think they needed more defensive help, but yeah. I think he did too. I think once Vrabel was gone, I think he wanted out. But yeah, we'll find out. They bring in Wink Martindale. Some coaches translate well from the NFL to college. I think it's a selling point. If you're a 5-star defensive player, hey, you want to play under Wink Martindale, who's coached multiple Hall of Fame defensive players, and you're going to run an NFL type system. Yeah, I have no idea because I haven't been following the recruiting path. This year, we're going to talk a lot more college football during the regular season. But I haven't had a chance to go through the recruiting classes yet and see who's doing what. But when I look at Michigan's roster, I'm like, okay, are they just going to replenish the roster of 5-star guys? Because I don't think that they have a top 5 recruiting class. You guys tell me. I actually don't know. I've been saying that for a while, but a lot of Lions fans just disagree with me. Look, you're a former defensive backs coach. You got 2 really good corners in the draft. Carlton Davis didn't really play that well, but he's got. I like Carlton Davis. Let's be very clear. I really like Carlton Davis. I don't think he's really an upgrade over Cam Sutton. So, but do I think he's a solid starter? Yeah. You're a defensive backs coach and a former defensive backs coach turned defensive coordinator, and the first 2 picks in the draft were corners. When you traded up for, it's got to work because they're talented enough. And then there's some talk about him being Aaron Glenn being considered as a head coach. I don't know about that, but we'll see. Barry says the NFL needs a 100-man roster. It's growing, but it's not going to be 100 pounds. So Trevor Lawrence can't improve the talent he's got now. He's the wrong guy. Yeah, they've already signed the 5th-year option, if I'm correct. He has to so he has to now produce, and you're right, because they got Mac Jones there. Now, Mac Jones, obviously, his 5th-year options aren't going to be signed, and I don't think he's the answer there in Jacksonville, but you got capable backup in case Trevor Lawrence goes down. If he can improve, then he is wrong. I think Lawrence will be fine. But yeah, I mean, you're losing Ridley, which I was kind of worried about. But you got Gabriel Davis. Okay, not really an upgrade, but still, you got Evan Ingram, you got Travis Etienne, Christian Kirk is going to come back. Gabriel Davis is a solid starter. Then you go ahead, you trade down in the draft, and you still get Brian Thomas Jr. at 23. Yeah, I mean, the offense should be better. There's some questions on the offensive line. I'm not sold on the offensive line, but yeah. We're gonna this year we're gonna talk more college football, and I haven't shared this with anybody what I got plans for this summer, except for one guy, and that's Denver Gator. Denver Gator says, "What's up, Pete?" So Denver Gator, just so you know, people were talking bad about your guy Will Levis, and I want you to know I defended Will Levis. However, I'm not putting mayonnaise in my coffee like you and Will like to do. So for those of you tuning in late, Denver Gator loves Will Levis so much, he started putting mayonnaise in his coffee. Denver Gator is a huge Will Levis fan. So now that he's in the chat, no negative talk about Will Levis. No negative talk about Will Levis. If our defense is bad again, it's on Glenn or Holmes or both. Yeah, I am not. I've never really been huge Aaron Glenn guy. I really haven't. I remember when he first came to Detroit, I thought he was going to run the Dennis Allen defense. Decided he wanted to do something different. It hasn't really worked. I haven't watched. It's funny because I rewatched Kansas City and Buffalo this week. I forgot what a good game that was. I haven't watched the Super Bowl yet, at least not recently. But I haven't watched the 49ers Detroit game, but I started looking at the by the way, the answer is yes. It was a big story on the combine. He just loads it up and it's disgusting. But Denver Gator does it now, so don't make fun of him. Yeah, it's honestly, I think they made some mistakes. I really thought that they needed a receiver. They needed an edge rusher. After July or after June 1st, another free agent period, I'm kind of anxious to see what Detroit does. But we'll find out. Jonesy's working on his game as a backup and hoping he can get another chance. Yeah, and by the way, like he's going to the perfect spot in Jacksonville. Doug Peterson. Remember, Doug Peterson won the Super Bowl with Nick Foles, his backup quarterback, not his starter, Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz, by the way, is in Kansas City. But Doug Peterson was the quarterback coach in Kansas City for a long time before becoming the offensive coordinator, before taking over at Philly and now in Jacksonville. So he's going to the perfect place because Doug Peterson was an NFL backup quarterback for a very, very long time. So he's going on the perfect place. I also think that being in a locker room with a guy like Trevor Lawrence will really help him out. I don't know for a fact, but oh God, I love Denver Gator. I would actually put mayo in my coffee for believing Levis is a top 16 quarterback. Denver Gator. So Perry was on fire. Denver Gator just comes out of the bat, just comes right out of the gate strong. This is just freaking great. Jonesy, yeah, and by the way, like he's going to the right spot, and all he has to do is just get better. I can't prove this, but I think that his problem was he just got it was all up here. Remember he went to the Pro Bowl as a rookie. He was having success, and I think the success just got to his head. I can't prove it. I don't know him. Look, when you're a young kid, he won a national championship at Alabama, right? First round draft pick, Pro Bowl after his rookie year. I think success got to him. And then remember McDaniels left. I think that was part of it. Remember that for some reason they wanted to make Matt Patricia the offensive coordinator, which I was a little confused about. But, you know, I mean, I thought maybe I had a chance to work. You could tell that these two visibly just didn't like each other right away. And I kind of blame Patricia because of the player interactions that he had in Detroit. But then him and Bill O'Brien clashed. Now, Bill O'Brien and Tom Brady clashed on the sidelines, but it was a little different because, like, the results were good on the field. So, like, when you see them yelling at each other, there's a famous clip of Brady and Bill O'Brien just screaming at each other on the sidelines. But, like, that was a game they put up, like, 45 points. That's a little different than Mac Jones and Bill O'Brien not getting along on the sidelines and scoring 12. That's a night and day difference. So I think that when they started putting in Bailey Zappi, and then there was a rumor that Bailey Zappi just started watching film in the receivers room, not the quarterback room, because there's so much animosity between him and Mac Jones. I thought that was a big problem. And I looked at that as like there's something wrong with Mac Jones. And I think that Jones, again, I think it's all up here. Keep in mind, I never saw the elite arm. I never saw that anything that made him really stand out. It was just more like he was just a cog in the system. That's kind of why I'm not very high on J.J. McCarthy, because Alabama relied much more on Mac Jones than Michigan did with J.J. McCarthy. But the one thing I can see about JJ McCarthy is I think McCarthy is a little more humility. We'll have to find out what happens now that he probably will be a starter. We'll find out. Yeah, true story. It's really weird. Question for Denver Gator are what are your expectations for Denver this year? And I think the Broncos will be around 9 wins. I don't think so right now, and I say that because you're going with a rookie quarterback in a kind of an AFC West where it's going to be tough. I mean, you have Kansas City now. You finally beat Kansas City for the first time in like 9 years or something crazy like that. But keep in mind, you held Kansas City in 9 points, and are you going to do that next year? Probably not. You lost Simmons. You lost 1 or 2 other defensive players. You're building a rookie quarterback. You lost Cushenberry in free agency. So I personally think that this may be kind of a building block year for Denver. The Raiders. It's going to be how good can Gardner Minshew be, and I think his ceiling is top 12 to 15, and then you have the Chargers, which are changing things schematically, offensively and defensively, but they have all talent in the wall. I said wall, but I meant world because of this comment. I think Patricia and the inept staff just got in Jones's head. Here's the deal. Bill O'Brien, I don't think people really question Bill O'Brien's offensive knowledge. It was more just Mac Jones couldn't do it. But I have no idea. And I don't think Bill O'Brien would ever admit to it. He remember he took over as offensive coordinator at Ohio State. Then the Boston College coach resigned so he could take over as defensive coordinator in Green Bay. And because he's from that area, Bill O'Brien left and took the head coaching job at Boston College, which I think was a smart move. Boston College, I'm kind of want to watch this year because it's kind of a look, you had a lot of success in that area. You were able to recruit at Penn State after they had that death penalty. You remember after the sex scandal, he took over. He got Christian Hackenberg, who was the number one player out of high school. You're not going to be able to compete with NIL money, but I think you'll be able to recruit some guys out of high school. Recruit like a lot of really good 2-3 star players. Boston College wasn't terrible last year. I think they're 5-7 or 7-5 or something. But Boston College is a school I'm kind of low key kind of watching out for this year, and we're gonna do a lot more college football this year. I think he's going to start right away. I don't think they have a choice, to be honest with you, unless you want to throw Zach Wilson out there. And I really think that they're just going to say trial by fire, and I think that he'll do the same thing he did with Russell Wilson, and you have to understand Javonte Williams is a monster. I don't know if it was just him coming back from injury or what, but I really think that they'll just lean on the running game at first. And then as long as he's able to pick up on the offense, it'll be more of a passing offense. But at first, I think it'll be a running offense. Patricia is a bad coach. So I was told this I've been told this over and over again, mainly from the Around the Sticks podcast. I remember it was Bucky Brooks had a conversation. He goes, if you want somebody to just talk X's and O's with you, just talks football, Matt Patricia's your guy. He was a rocket scientist in college. Like, the dude's smart. The dude's really smart. He has like an astrophysics degree. He was going to work for NASA, instead took a job with the NFL. Like, if you were going to say, like, give me like a top 10 smartest offensive or defensive minds in football, you might want to put Matt Patricia there. He does not seem to have good people skills. And it worked in New England, except for when he was offensive coordinator, but intelligence wise, he's there. But I think you're right. He does rub people the wrong way. Is he a bad coach? I'm not sure that's fair to say. I'm not sure that's fair to say. The Vikings need, and so that's why I like Kevin O'Connell, is because what he did is when Cousins went down, he did a good job of building the offense around the quarterbacks and making the system kind of easy to understand. And that's why they were able to win some games that they shouldn't have. Remember, we had Joshua Dobbs, was all over ESPN for like those few weeks because Kevin O'Connell was able to build the system around his quarterback, and that's what they're going to do. They're going to build it around McCarthy. If they're smart, they give Sam Darnold a legitimate chance. Who I still think that really kind of got screwed, because coming out of college, if Darnold and McCarthy were to come out of the draft this year, there's no question Darnold would have been drafted before McCarthy. No question. But because he didn't have an instantaneous success, Darnold's a quote-unquote bust. That's not really fair. He didn't get a chance in San Francisco at all. He really didn't. They brought him in, but it's like, you're going to be a backup to Purdy. Great. He's going to be a backup, but if the Vikings are smart, they give him a legitimate chance because he may be the starter. This is just freaking awesome. All in all, just another brick and because I said that, but I didn't sing it. I wonder if I get demonetized. I wonder. I don't know. That's a good question, but great comment by Denver Gator. Denver Gator agree. Nick's, I don't see Zach Wilson. Here's the deal. Let's just say Zach Wilson was the day one starter. He's remember we were talking about Will Levis being the guy with the big arm who wants to go downfield, and he's not. I don't think he's really going to fit in with that rhythm passing offense. Well, that's kind of what Denver wants to do, or at least that's what Sean Payton did with the Saints. It's not what he's done with Denver, because he had to transition his offense, build it around Russell Wilson. But Knicks, I think, can do more of what Sean Payton wants, and I think he'll do more than Zach Wilson. If Zach Wilson's smart, he just tries to help out Bo Nix and realizes, hey, I'm the backup. I'm going to stay the backup, but I'm going to keep my mouth shut because last year it's like 12 starting quarterbacks went down. There's a good chance I'm going to play in a game or two. I'm playing in a much better offensive system. No disrespect to the Jets offensive coordinator, who I'm drawing a blank on who it is off the top of my head, former Broncos head coach. I should know his name, but I'm just drawing a blank. I'm playing with a better system here with Sean Payton, and I play well. I can get another contract. Being a backup quarterback is not a bad gig. Belichick was the talent. The other coaches were just following Belichick. They had a few good offensive coordinators and defensive coordinators, but Belichick and Brady were the reason the team won. I agree. Early on, when they had Romeo Crennel, world-class defensive coordinator, and Charlie Weiss, world-class offensive coordinator. Yeah, Nathaniel Hackett. Yes, that's who I was trying to think. Yeah. So Sean Payton's going to be better than Nathaniel Hackett. For Zach Wilson. Sorry about that. But yeah, Charlie Weiss, he had some, he was a really, really, really good offensive coordinator. And this was early on. And what they did is they won those Super Bowls. We were talking about this earlier, where New England won the first couple Super Bowls with a power running game and a great defense. Well, Charlie Weiss ended up transitioning the offense to going more passing. And then you may remember he took over as a head coach in Notre Dame, had some really good seasons. He was in Kansas for a little bit. wasn't there long because it not everybody loves Lawrence, Kansas. I've been there. It's kind of a shithole. It really is. It really is. And by the way, I know there's like Kansas fans where I used to live in Overland Park, I knew there was a bunch of KU fans, but I mean, there's really not much there, man. It really isn't. It's just not a fun place. So anyway, wasn't successful there. I'm not sure what Charlie Weiss did after KU, but they had some good coordinators. But every coach that left New England and tried to run, let me rephrase it. Every coach or front office personnel that tried to do the Patriots method in another place always failed. The team that did it the best, and it wasn't Andy, well, sort of, they brought over some coaches, but mostly front office personnel was the Falcons, where they brought over a ton of Patriots personnel. As Thomas Dimitroff was the main guy, and he was there as a general manager for, I want to say, 12 years. He was the one who built the Falcons team with Matt Ryan, who won MVP, and what was it, 2016? Where they went to the Super Bowl, was up 28-3 to the Patriots, ironically, and lost. That was the closest. And by the way, after that season, they were never able to put together a Super Bowl type team. So you can know your stuff, but if you can't relate or they don't like you, they won't play hard for you. Guys were scared of Belichick and we're scared of Belichick, and I'm not sure what you're trying to say. Respect him. Yeah. Well, it's actually funny, Perry. I haven't seen it yet, but supposedly the roast of Tom Brady is amazing. I don't have Netflix. I'm going to get it when they have a promotion. I'm just going to get it for a month. But the roast of Tom Brady. Julian Edelman's there, Gronkowski's there, Bill Belichick's there. Supposedly, Bill Belichick does a decent job. I'm told Drew Bledsoe was there, and he was awesome. I haven't seen it yet. There's a clip where they show Belichick, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm going to go with Tom." And Drew Bledsoe's like, "Really again?" And it was just freaking hilarious. If you haven't seen it, if you have Netflix, watch it. I'm going to here sometime this summer. I just haven't signed up for it yet. But I will. Everybody across the board, so it was awesome. Anyway, my point is, supposedly Belichick was hilarious in the locker room, and Belichick was like, players loved Belichick, and players seriously. You can look this up for yourself. You can go on YouTube. Look up former players at Belichick, and they'll be like, yeah, he was just freaking hilarious. Like his press conferences, he didn't like the press. He didn't want to reveal anything. He was smart not to do that. I thought it was genius. But when you have to earn that. If you're a brand new head coach, you can't do that. But like Dave Canales for Carolina, I wouldn't recommend doing that at all. But when you're Bill Belichick, you have several Super Bowls. Remember, he came in as a coordinator with several Super Bowls under Bill Parcells, so he had some clout. And he wasn't horrible right away. And then, but players loved Belichick. Players really loved Belichick. But you're right, players really didn't care for Matt Patricia. And yeah, you take him outside of New England, didn't work. I have no idea what he's doing now. I think last year he was actually with the Eagles, and I think that he was let go when Fangio came in. So I don't think he has a job right now. It's actually something I'm kind of curious about. It wouldn't surprise me if Matt Patricia gets signed as some sort of special assistant. But player, yeah, he doesn't get along well with players. Drew Bledsoe was actually a really good quarterback. He was really, there was a game. It was opening day. Dan Marino tore, it was either his Achilles or his knee. And it was his first game back, and it was a classic. It was like 39-34. Miami won, but it was like less than a minute left. It was 4th and 5, and Marino audibled. and threw a bomb downfield. Got one-on-one coverage. Receiver beat the defensive back. It was like a 60-yard bomb on 4th and 5 for the winning touchdown. It was Marino's first game back, but Bledsoe had a great game. It was like 343, 4 touchdowns, but Marino had 349, had like 393 and 5 touchdowns. But yeah, and then he gets hurt, brutal injury. Brady's probably the greatest quarterback that ever lived. Goes to Dallas, and he was adamant. He said, "Yeah, dude, they got this guy, this rookie out of Western Carolina. Like this kid can play." And it was Tony Romo. But Bledsoe, really, really, really good quarterback. I watched him play at Washington State, and I'm showing my age. I remember Bledsoe in college, and it was just like, oh my God. And so the coach at Washington State, that guy ended up, I think after Bledsoe was drafted, maybe a year or two later. No, Ryan Leaf took over almost. No, that's not correct. That's not correct. There's like one quarterback in between Bledsoe and Leaf, but the coach of Washington State took over as the head coach of Alabama for like 7 days. And I'll tell the story real fast. So what happened is, if you haven't seen it, you should have seen it. It looked like Dee Snider for Twisted Sister. Hopefully you remember that. But anyway, he goes to a strip club and he takes a stripper home. It looked like Dee Snider. And here's the deal, because at Washington State, you don't recognize the head coach. Well, at Alabama, everybody knows who the head coach was. So they recognized him immediately. And she ended up going on Howard Stern, and everybody kept on saying, "Dude, it looks like Dee Snider," and he was fired. Last I knew he went to UTEP or something. But yeah, Fangio doesn't want him. No, he'll sign with an NFL team. He'll be like a special assistant. I'll be honest, I wouldn't mind him in Kansas City, to tell you the truth. I really wouldn't. And I think him and Spags have some sort of history together. I could be wrong about that. Guys, listen, I'm kind of gonna wrap up here. But I'm just gonna let you know. I was going to do more of a power rankings, kind of break down the teams, kind of go over the divisions. I'm not going to do that. That was my intention, but I'd much rather just do like a Q&A, just an open forum where you have questions, I have answers. That's my favorite thing in the whole world. But I always try to plan something out in case you guys don't have questions and don't want to get involved. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just my favorite thing is when you guys get involved. You guys A+ today. I couldn't ask for anything more. All you guys were on fire. So I couldn't ask for anything more. Great comments here. Great comments. And it was a great show. Next week, the NFL schedule is going to come out. And hopefully I can get Keaton Talk Sports, who's already reached out to me. He shot me a DM. He wants to come on and talk about the NFL schedule. So hopefully he'll join me because next week's show, we're going to talk about the NFL schedule. There is a chance I do a video just for the Chiefs. I haven't decided yet. A lot of it's going to be on time if I can get everything taken care of. But if timing works out, then I will do a video just on the Chiefs schedule. Then we'll go over the schedule. Me and Keaton. Hopefully Keaton joins me for next week. 2 weeks from now, I'm going to break down the AFC in a little more detail because I kind of want to look at the scheduling first, and then some teams will have a favorable schedule, some teams will have a difficult schedule. I'm going to go into a little more detail. 3 weeks from now will be the NFC, and then after that, we'll have the second period of free agency. We'll kind of do that. Sometime after the 4th of July, I'll start doing my breakdowns of the 2024 teams. This year, I'm going to do something different. I'm not going to do all 32 teams. I'm just going to do 8 division videos, but they're all going to be very extensive with all details of all 4 teams. And I'm going to talk about a ton of all that stuff. And then this year, I'm also going to help out in fantasy football. I'm going to do a lot more fantasy football stuff this year, more than I've ever done before. I'm going to help you guys try to win your fantasy football leagues. I'm going to try to come out with a sleeper video. I did a couple of years. Actually, I did, I think, a live stream a couple of years ago with some fantasy football sleepers. I'm going to try to put out a video, some fantasy football sleepers, some dark horses, guys that you want to take after round 10, because everybody knows who to take in 1, 2, or 3, but rounds 10 through 15, that's where people really start to struggle. Just kind of throw some darts at the board, and then I'll give you guys some ideas of who to get in those later rounds that you may be able to trade, or maybe guys that end up being surprise starters. I mentioned this earlier, but somebody like Trey Benson, that's a guy that may be low on the list because it's James Conner, right? He's going to be the starter, but I think Trey Benson's a guy that's going to get a lot of touches. And Conner's been banged up in the past. So Trey Benson's a guy that, like, after round 10, you may want to snag him up. That's a for example. But I'm going to go ahead and hopefully I'll have time and I can put that out into a video. But I'm going to help out with fantasy football every week. I'm going to do more and more fantasy football stuff, and I'm also planning on doing a little more college than I have before. I've talked to Denver Gator, and he's going to help out with some college this year. Perry says if the Lions start slow, the fan base will turn on Holmes into DC. Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, seriously, Detroit. Where do you go besides the NFC Championship? There's only one game. And that's really realistically what the expectations are. That's why I didn't like the draft, because the draft looked like for the future, not for right now. And to be honest, it's now. Because 49ers definitely took a step back. Well, who did they play in the NFC Championship game? Detroit. And by the way, I think Detroit looks better now than they did at the end of the season. They stayed away from injuries for the most part. So if the Lions stay healthy, they should be a team that should dominate. But we'll find out, because this is the first time since the Lions went to the off the top of my head. You tell me. When the Lions played Washington in what was it? God, what was it? Was it 91? You'd have to tell me. I don't remember off the top of my head. But when they played Washington in the 91 conference championship, did they get back to the playoffs the next year? I know they didn't win a playoff game the next year. I know Barry Sanders didn't win a playoff game for the rest of his career. So this is the first time, I'm going to say ever, but 30 years, that the Lions are going to be the favorite. It's human nature to want to be the underdog. It's human nature when people say you can't do something to say, oh yeah, yes, I can. It's a lot different when you go into the game and the other team saying, hey, we got the Lions. I'm curious how the Lions are going to respond to that. It's harder. Take a look at Kansas City. Kansas City was 10-7 last year because every team played against Kansas City like it was a Super Bowl game. It's hard to get up to that level. It's a lot easier when you're the underdog than when you're the favorite. And that's human nature. And it's like that with everything. So that's something I'm anxious to see, because maybe Detroit does start slow. The first 2 seasons under Dan Campbell, in September and October, they only won 1 game combined. So I was really mad about them beating the Chiefs week 1. Still bitter about that. But yeah, you're right. Canadian football is something I'm not going to cover, but Perry, all my social media is below. I'm still having some issues with Facebook, but I am on Twitter. I am on Instagram. I'm going to, so I was going to go with Gmail because Yahoo's being a little frustrating, but somebody already has Dan Show at Gmail. So I have to like put in 3 or 4 numbers or something goofy, and I really don't want to do that. So I may come up with a new email address. I still have the Dan Show at Yahoo. I really don't use it. There was a former guy who used to come on here all the time. He emailed me a couple times, and I know he's on Instagram, but I've sent him some messages. He doesn't really use it, which is fine. But I haven't heard from him in a while. I'll get a new email so you can email me. But I'm on Instagram. I'm on Twitter. Send me a friend request if you haven't already. You can always DM me. I would love to know more about Canadian football, but unfortunately, I probably won't watch too much of it. I've been meaning to watch the UFL. I got a lot of it on DVR. I haven't watched it. The fan base is too hyped up to look at the big picture. Yeah. Yeah, that's the one thing about the Lions I'm warning you is that teams are going to be gunning for you this year. This isn't, hey, we playing the Lions like, hey, guys, we got Detroit coming in now. And here's another thing is that teams are now used to the way Dan Campbell's going to go for it on 4th down. They know to watch for fake punts. So he reminds me a lot of Ron Rivera. Remember Ron Rivera had Riverboat Ron, and they went 15-1. Cam Newton won MVP. They went to the Super Bowl. The next year they went 6-10. Now a lot of it had to do with Cam Newton. Teams beat the crap out of Cam Newton. He wasn't. He didn't play the whole season. And another thing is I don't think they really liked each other. Cam Newton and Ron Rivera, but that's here or there. Yeah, I know. I'm fully aware. Yeah, it's like a wider field, 3 downs. You can have a running start. So I saw something. Chad Kelly, former, he's like nephew of Chip. Okay, so I'll end on this note here. Kind of a bad note, but Chip Kelly was going to be a 1st-round pick. Then he got in trouble at Clemson, had to go to junior college. It was the same junior college that was on the Last Chance U. He wasn't on it. He graduated the year before. He actually called the coach and let him know, hey, I'm back at Clemson and I won a starting job. And the coach was like, hey, man, that's great. I'm so proud of you. And then he got in trouble again. Was the 7th-round pick. I think he was Mr. Irrelevant. Somebody had to refresh me for Denver. Got in trouble again, and people are livid because they're like, if this was a black guy, he would be kicked out of the NFL for a year because he's the nephew of Jim Kelly. He's getting chance after chance after chance. I don't think color was really an issue, but I think the fact that he was the nephew of Jim Kelly and a lot of people stuck up for him. So he goes to the CFL last year, won MVP. Now he's kicked out. I think he's kicked out of the CFL or was on suspension because of I'm going to call them inappropriate comments to a female coach because they're now implementing more and more coaches and stuff like that. So he got in trouble. And it's like the 5th or 6th time he's done something like that. But if I'm correct, he was the MVP, and now he's not playing. The guy's talented enough to play in the NFL, but I don't think he can play. If an NFL player plays Canadian, are you? I'm familiar with it. I just don't have a chance to watch it, and I probably won't because I really, really want to do a lot more this year than what I've done in the past. I have a plan, and I haven't really shared this with anybody, but I really want to do something big this year and really extensive. And I got a plan in play. I'm not revealing it because I may not be able to go through with it because the way things are, I have to work a lot more than I had in previous years. So I can't put as much this summer into my channel, but this fall I want to do something big. I want to do something big and something huge. And I haven't shared it yet because I'm not sure I can do it, but if I can, I think it's going to be really awesome. I hope so. And yeah, I know it's fun. I just don't have a chance. The World League of America football. I want to watch the UFL. I just haven't had a chance. It's a time thing. That's the one thing this year is that I'm going to take time to watch more college football. Not as much as I want to, because if it was up to me on Saturday, I would watch college football all day. I really would. I love college football. Last year, I watched, 30, 40 games, maybe. Not much. This year, I'm going to watch more. But I won't be able to watch as much Canadian football, even though I would be interested. It's weird. There's rule changes. There's differences. It's 3 downs. You can run around. It's not bad. It's just different if somebody who's addicted to the NFL like I am. But yeah, I know Chip Kelly is suspended. He was MVP last year. I think he was MVP. I'm pretty sure. And I don't. That's basically all I know. So anyway, I'm going to end on that note, guys. Don't forget, social media links are below. If you haven't already, give me a thumbs up. And next week will be the NFL schedule show. I'm going to go over the NFL schedule. Keaton Talk Sports DM'd me earlier. He wants to come on, but I haven't confirmed it. He was in the chat earlier today, but hopefully I hear from him and I can get him locked in for next week. So hopefully I have some guests next week. We're going to talk NFL schedule. If you have some schedule questions, DM me below or put a comment in this video and I'll get to them. The Las Vegas CFL. Yeah. You remember? Oh God, okay. So for those of you that don't know, Las Vegas had a Canadian football league for 1 year. And it was really funny because they took Tamar Vanover. He was the player for the free, they called it Free Shoes University. He was involved in some sort of scandal. He got kicked off Florida State. Instead of signing with the NFL, they were going to build the Las Vegas team completely around Tamar Vanover. So Tamar Vanover, he played college at like 220, signed this massive contract, shows up at training camp at like 248. Can't run, can't do anything. The team bombed, went defunct. And it was because they went all in on Vanover. The Chiefs wisely used a draft pick on Tamar Vanover because he was under contract for 3 years, but because the team went defunct, he was able to play for the Chiefs as a rookie, worked himself back into shape, and he was a key part of that Chiefs team that went 13-3 and had the 1 seed in the AFC in 1995. Little fun fact for you. So anyway, end on a good note, not a bad note. So I don't remember the name, but yeah, Las Vegas tried to get involved. It didn't work out, but I'm not against Canadian football. It's just one of the things I don't have time to do at this point. But I'm glad you're into it, and I'm glad you're going to watch it. Perry, please keep me informed of what's going on. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, man, DM me or drop a comment in this video. I respond to all comments. So guys, have a great weekend. I'll see y'all back next Friday.